We are talking about our seasoning salts. It's that time of year, you know, it's good gift giving time. So we're going to do a little demo on how to use our delicious seasoning salts. And today we are going to use SPG, my favorite. It's got a lot of ingredients. Let's see, let me read them. Kosher salt, fresh garlic, black pepper. Wait. Oh, that's it. That's all there's in there. Good stuff. It is good stuff. And I wish you could smell it because it's really delicious. And there it is up close and in person. We use it every single day in every single way, except on our breakfast cereal. We don't put it on that. Okay, just really quick here. We're gonna do just a quick demo on how to make smashed potatoes. You know, it's that time of year, the Thanksgiving season, holidays, and all that good stuff. So we thought we'd talk about fun things you could do that are really easy and delicious, especially when you use our seasoning salts made with fresh garlic. Okay, here we go. So I have potatoes here. I like to use starchy potatoes for this. So Cheryl Ann and I were debating this about red potatoes or these kind of potatoes or the littlest potatoes or whatever. And all the potatoes are fine. But I really like to use a starchy potato for this because it gives you a little bit more crispy end product, okay? Because you can get some crispiness out of a red potato, but they're a waxy kind of potato. So Cheryl Ann is eyeballing me right now as I'm doing this, making me feel weird. Okay, so thanks, Cheryl Ann. Here's the potatoes. And if I had my way and I was going to pick them all, I'd pick them all about this big. If I could just go get this size potato. But I got a mix of potatoes, it doesn't matter. But we're just going to roast them. And we're going to start out with I washed these potatoes already. We're just going to put them in a big bowl. And I recommend that you do this whenever you do roasted vegetables of any kind, or anytime you're going to season a bunch of food that you have chopped up, is to put it in a bowl. Sometimes people will think they're going to roast it in the oven. They're going to ultimately be on a sheet pan. So maybe they'll save a pan or whatever, and they'll just put it right onto the sheet pan. And then drizzle olive oil on it and seasoning salt. But what happens is the salt doesn't get on all the surfaces, and neither does the oil. So then that doesn't work very well when you're trying to roast. You want to have a nice even coating of oil all the way around. So you want to start with a bowl like this and just add just a little bit of oil. You can always add more. And I just toss it around, and you can use your hands or you stir it around with whatever means you want to. But the whole idea is these potatoes, or any vegetables that I had in here, carrots, chunks of winter squash, potatoes, parsnips, anything, whatever you're roasting, will all be coated with oil. And you can see how shiny they are. That's all the oil I need. If I had done this and had a whole puddle of oil on the bottom, see how much oil is left in here? Hardly any, right? Because it would just be a waste, because all the oil you need is what sticks to the surface. Then I'm going to take some seasoning salt, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it on here. And our seasoning salt really is best applied with your fingers, picking it up like this. If you're gonna put it into some soup, or you're gonna stir it into a big bunch of other food, you know, in suspension, like soup or stew or something like that, then go ahead and use a spoon. But if you wanna get this product put on correctly, you wanna, because it's got some body to it, it's, because of the fresh garlic, and so it doesn't sprinkle like dry product. It sprinkles like fresh product. So it's easier to sprinkle when you use your fingers. So there's my little speech, okay?
If you had to guess, how much do you think you just used?
Oh, I would say I used about half a teaspoon, okay? And then I'm just gonna set these on the sheet pan. Don't have to be fancy about it. We're gonna give these about a 45-minute roast, probably. I'm just guessing how long it's gonna take. But, you know, you can tell when they're done, when they yield to gentle pressure. I mean, they'll yield like, oof, you know, like it'll be really, it's a satisfying squeeze and crush. Feels really nice, and you know it's ready. So, sounds weird, but it's true. Nothing like a starchy baked potato, and you squeeze it, and it just gives a little bit. Nice. Okay, so, I'm back. So potatoes are in a sheet pan. They're all seasoned up. They're oiled. And the other trick is high heat, okay? So we're going at 425 degrees right now. And my oven is preheated. So don't put your food in the oven before you preheat it, and get in and out of the oven as quickly as possible. So put your food in and shut the door. So don't like open the door and then go get your food and bring it over and put it in and then maybe pet the cat and then shut the door. Just get in and out, okay? And then that will be much better. Retains the heat because you're looking for searing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let that cook like I said, about 45 minutes probably, and we will come back and take a look at it, and I'll show you the crushing and the finishing part. Thanks. Hey, Chef PK's back. Potatoes are ready. Look at those babies. Oh yeah. A little brown. Got a hot oven. I think I mentioned 425, 450. You can't really go too low, too high. You just got to keep an eye on it. But roasting vegetables need some high heat. Oven goes above 350. Do it. It'll make your food so much better. Really, seriously. Okay, so let's finish this off. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get some tongs because these little buggers are hot. So take them off the board, or off the tray, I'm sorry. Take them off the tray and put them on your cutting board, or your countertop, or whatever you're smushing on. And then keep your pan nearby. Oh, and olive oil. And more SPG, because we're gonna need just a little bit more. Okay, so we take the potatoes now, and this is the smashed part. And you use whatever you want to do to smash it with. I'm gonna use a plate like this. You could smash it with anything, the bottom of a skillet or... And the only thing is just go careful until you get a feeling for what it's gonna do. It's gonna go, it could just be like, whoosh, and you don't want this big, giant, flat pancake. We just wanna squish it a little bit. So, Charlene, can you get down there and see that? Here it goes. We're just gonna give a little, you can hear it break. Oh, it is satisfying though. It is very satisfying. It kind of goes, and then you can peek at it and go, ah, it's pretty good. I'm gonna smash it just a smidge more. Oh yeah, this is where it cracks a little bit. And then, what's probably the best thing to do, you can try to pick it up with your hands if you want, but you know, I want it to stay in that shape. It looks so pretty like that. It's completely organic, right? Just smushed the way it's smushed. And now I'm gonna just scoop it up like this and put it back on the sheet pan, like that. This would be another great thing to use for your smushing. Just go like that. Oops, look at that, and it's stuck. And I'm just gonna give it just a tiny bit more. You decide how much to smush them. Totally up to you. Then smush, smush, smush. Wow, look at that. If they fall apart, just squish them back together. You can just bunch them back up together because they're gonna roast together and get a little crispy and they'll stick together a little bit. So we're just gonna keep doing this until we get them all onto the sheet pan. And they need to be not touching each other. I mean, they can be touching each other a little bit, but I mean, not on top of each other. We want them all exposed individually so they get dry, nice and crispy all around. And then if you like butter, this would be the time to kind of like drizzle them with butter. We're just gonna use olive oil tonight. But if you wanted butter, this would be butter time. And you can just like melt some butter in the microwave or however you like to melt it, and then drizzle it on here just like I'm gonna do with the olive oil. So if you have a brush, you can do a brush. One way of doing it is to use a spoon like this and get a spoonful and you're right above it and just kind of like, you see how it just like nice and, I want it to be all over it. Like 1 tablespoon of olive oil kind of drizzling down the whole thing. Because this is what makes it what it is, to be honest. This is what, this little extra fat is gonna sit in it, and you can even poke it in a little teeny bit if you don't feel like it's going in very good. But the idea is that fat is going to sit in that really super hot oven. You can even crank the oven up even more. You can even use the broiler. So what I like to do is I just like to use the top of the oven, 450, 500 degrees, move my racks all up, my rack up to the top of the oven. So it's as close to the top as I can get, and then roast it, just plain roast it. This is not the broiling method. This is just high heat oven roasting at the top of the oven. The oven cavity is always hottest right at the top. So if you want top browning, then put it at the top. If you want bottom browning, then put your product at the bottom. But we want top browning. Did I get that one already? I think so. Okay, so now we have a delicious amount of olive oil on those, which could be butter also. And then we're gonna take just a little bit more. Here's a fun idea. Let's do a few like this, but here's another idea. If you used our deep dark and smoky instead of this on the top, you'd have a really cool, you know how sometimes people will put paprika on top of things. I'm not such a big fan of that, but this spice mix is purposeful. It has the beautiful red chili powder flakes, and it's delicious tasting and salty. And you see how I'm putting this on is by rolling it between my fingers, just the minutest bit, and shaking, because I want it to be evenly sprinkled. Nothing worse than, you know, if you can imagine like scooping up like a teaspoonful of this stuff and just go whoosh, like you can't sprinkle it really. Look at a big chunk's gonna, that chunk just fell on this potato right in that one spot, and now it's over seasoned right there. So just use careful fingers and sprinkle it evenly. Oops, I already put, that's the stuff that without. Okay, there we go. So that's what it looks like. I'm gonna put a little bit more on this one. Okay, and then this is gonna go back in the oven. And I would say, at this point, what the hazard is to go, oh, I'm just gonna pop it in the oven and these look so dang good already, I wanna eat them right now. And so I don't put them in the oven long enough, but they need to crisp up. So however long that is what you wanna do. And I would say it's gonna be, could be another 25 minutes, you know, to really get these crispy. So we're gonna go ahead and just plan for that. We'll come back in a few minutes. All right, check out those potatoes, those smashed potatoes. See the little brown crispiness going on. It's looking really good. You can let it go a little longer. You can, I mean, because you know they're cooked, right? I mean, they're cooked when we put them back in the oven, but the crisping thing is the good thing, right? So let's just see what those look like. I'm gonna put those out on the platter. Let's just see what those look like on there. And be careful because they can break up a little bit. So just scoop them up nice and easy. And you can even like shingle them a little if you want to get a few extra ones onto a tray or a platter.
Right there.
Ah, they're so pretty. Look at that. And if you'd like, you could sprinkle them with cheese and let them go a little longer if you wanted some cheese. We're trying to go a little lighter on the fat this week, you know, this month was today. But yummy, right? Look at that. Oh, you could mess around with, remember we talked about butter, talked about olive oil, talked about different fats you can use, bacon bits, sour cream, green onions. Serve that with with a pile of that for people to sprinkle on themselves. Man, good stuff. Enjoy.